Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is T of the FTK Crochet brand, and today I'm back with another tutorial. We are going to be making the tutorial for this beautiful short. It is a step-by-step detailed tutorial, so it is beginner friendly. If you are new to crochet, this is something you can actually make for yourself or for a loved one. I used the double V stitch on this one, and I've made the hats and the shirts, so I'm going to be putting the link below so you have your own as well. So let's get into this tutorial. Okay, so for this project, these are the materials that you're going to need. You're going to need your yarn, of course. So I'm using the blue yarn for this one because, like you already know, I'm doing this for the blue top and the hats we made previously. All right, don't worry if you've not seen those ones. I'm going to be putting the link below like I've promised. All right, so I'm going to be using approximately 4-ply acrylic yarn. So the reason why I said approximately 4-ply, I have these two strands put together here, and one of this strand is a 2-ply. So putting the two together gives me 4-ply acrylic yarn, but you can go ahead to use whatever yarn that makes you feel comfortable. All right, so we are going to be needing our measurement tape, very important. We are going to be needing a scissors, some stitch markers, a tapestry needle to weave in your ends when you are done, and then we are going to be using a 4.5mm hook size for this particular project. All right, so let us get into it. Okay, so the measurement you are going to need for this one is going to be your hips measurement. All right, so when you make your foundation chain, make sure that it's your exact hip measurements that you are making. So I'm going to go off camera now to create my own chains, and I'll come back to tell you how many I end up making for the size that I'm going for. All right. Okay, so I now have my foundation chain, and I forgot to mention you are supposed to make your foundation chain in multiples of 5 then 1. Multiples of 5 then 1. All right, so here on my own I made 141 chains. So this is going to be my foundation chain. All right, so the next step now is going to be making a slip stitch, because we are going to be going all round. So you are going to be making a slip stitch on the very last stitch on this chain. So when you are going to your last stitch, make sure you are careful because you don't want it rolling. All right, so make sure it is straight. This is a bit tricky because if you are not careful, you will have a very rough work at the end of the day. So make sure you follow it very closely and make sure it is straight. Okay, so here I am. So you are going to go into the very first stitch right here, into the very first chain stitch, and you are going to do a slip stitch here. All right, just like this. So now to begin the row 1, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2 and 3. So this chain 3 now is going to be serving as 1 double crochet for us. So you are going to go into the next chain stitch, and you're going to put in 1 double crochet on that stitch. And on the next stitch, you're going to be going in there with 1 double crochet. And on the next stitch, you're going to be going in there with 1 double crochet. So for the row 1, you are just going to be doing 1 double crochet on each of the stitches all around. All right. So you're going to put in 1 double crochet on each of the stitches all around, and I'm going to meet you here when I'm done with mine. Okay. Okay, so I've gotten to the end of the double crochet row. All right, so to end on this row now, you are just going to do a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch that we started with. You are going to go into the 3rd chain and do a slip stitch to end this row. All right, so now we are going to be starting our row 1 special. I'm not going to be counting this one as the row one. This one is just going to be like a foundation for our stitch pattern. All right, so now I'm going to be calling this one, I want to start now, row 1. All right, so to begin this row, you're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. And as usual, this chain 3 is going to be serving as our first double crochet. So on that same stitch, you're going to go in there with one more double crochet to create our first V. All right, and now chain up 2, and on that same stitch, you're going to be going in there with another V, because it's going to be the double V stitch pattern. All right, so now we have our double V. So you are going to yarn over and count 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 5th stitch you are going to be going in there with our first V. 1, 2, chain up 2, and on that same stitch you are going to be going in there with another V to give us a double V, just like this. All right, so you are going to yarn over again, count 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 5th stitch you are going to be going in there with our double V. So the double V, you already know what it is. You're going to go in there with, first you're going to put in 2 double crochets, chain up 2, and put another 2 double crochet on same stitch. That is what is going to be giving us our double V. So I'm going to be referring to it as a double V. All right, so we see how it's coming out now. So this is exactly what you're going to be doing for the entire row 1. All right, so I'm going off camera now to do mine, and when I get here I'll come back to show you how I end it so that we can start the next row. All right. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 1 now, like I told you. So I just want to show you how I end it here so we can begin the next row. All right, so to end it, you're just going to be going into the chain 3 stitch that we started with. You're going to be going into the 3rd chain stitch, and there you will do a slip stitch to end this row, just like this. All right, so now to begin the next row, you are going to be doing a slip stitch on the very next stitch. This slip stitch now is to take us to the next space, and now on this space now you're going to do 1 more slip stitch. All right, so now we are in this next space. All right, so this row is going to be an increase row. All right, but this increase on this one is for people with bigger hips. If you know you do not have a bigger hips and you want your own shirt to be straight, you don't have to do this increase rows. All right, but for this one, the person I'm making it for, I'm going to be doing the increase. Okay, so the first increase here now, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. So this chain 3 is going to be serving as our first double crochet. On this same space, you're going to go in there with another double crochet to create our first V. All right, and now you're going to chain up 2, and on this same space you're going to go in there with another double crochet and with another V. So 2 double crochets, that is going to make our first double V. So instead of the double V that we've been making for this increase part, now you are going to be making another V. All right, on that same space now you are just going to go in there with the 3rd V. Sorry, you are going to chain up 2, 1 and 2, and you are going to be going in that same space with the 3rd V. All right, so you know regularly we will do just 1 V, chain up 2, and do another V, but because we are doing an increase here, we are going to be adding just 1 V to this part. So this is how it will look like. So if we are starting here, then you are going to be doing it on the other corner as well. All right, so the way you get the corner is very easy. So since they are double V stitches, all you need to do is count the double V's. So now that we have this one on this part, you will not count this one. This one will be there. What you're going to do now, you're just going to count like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So for my own case now, my own measurement, I count 13 from here, and on the 14th one I put the stitch marker here. So I'll come back here again and I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So as you can see, the 14th one is where the other corner is. So as you can see now, I have my two corners just like this. So what you are just going to do, you continue putting in the double V's until you get to where the next corner is, which is where the stitch marker is now. All right, so yarn over, go into the chain 2 space and do the regular V, chain up 2, and on that same space go in with another V, just like this, just as regular. Yarn over again, go into the next chain 2 space, put in your first V, chain up 2, and put in your second V. So keep doing this until you get to where the stitch marker is, which is our next corner, and I'll come back to show you how we are going to be doing our increase here as well. All right. Okay, so I've gotten to where the next stitch marker is, which is the next corner. So I'm just going to remove the stitch marker here now, because we are going to be doing our next increase on this chain 2 space. All right, so now you're going to yarn over. You're going to go into that space now with our first V, chain up 2, same space, another V, chain up 2 again, on that same space our third V, just like we did in the very beginning. So this is how you do the increase for this row. All right, so you continue putting in the normal double V's now until you get to the end here, and when I get here I'll come back to show you how we are going to be ending it right here. All right, so we can begin the next row. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 2 now. So I just want to show you how I end this row so I can show you how to begin the next row. All right, so on this chain 3 stitch that we started from now, that is where you're going to be doing your slip stitch to end on this row, just like this. All right, so now on the next stitch you're going to be going in there with a slip stitch to take us to the next space. All right, so on the space you're going to be doing a slip stitch. So now that we're on this space, you're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and don't forget this is going to be serving as our first double crochet. So now on that same space you're going to be going in there with another double crochet, and then chain up 2. On that same space you're going to be going in there with another V. All right, so now we have our first double V. So on this row we are not going to be doing any increase. All right, so in each of the chain 2 spaces you're just going to be putting in your double V all around. All right, a V, chain up 2, another V, go into the next chain 2 space, put in a V, chain up 2, and put in another V on that space. So like I said, no increase on this row. You're just going to be going into all of the chain 2 spaces all around and just be putting in your double V, chain 2. Okay, and I will meet you here when you are done. All right, okay, so I'm at the end of the row 3 now. So as usual, you are going to be doing a slip stitch on the next stitch, and then a slip stitch on the very space, just like this. All right, so this is going to be our next increase row. All right, so for the row 4 now, we are going to be repeating exactly what we did in the row 2. All right, so you go ahead now to mark your own next corner. I've already done that and put my own stitch marker there. All right, so you remember what we did on the row 2. That is what we're going to repeat right here on the row 4. So you're going to chain up 3, 1, 2 and 3, and on this same space you're going to be going in there with just 1 double crochet, because the chain 3 is going to be serving as 1 double crochet like we've been doing. All right, to create our very first V, and then chain up 2, and on that same space you're just going to go in there with 1 more V, chain up 2, and on that same space you're going to be putting in the last V, 1 and 2. All right, so this is how our next increase is looking like. So you're going to yarn over, go into the next chain 2 space, and then do your normal double V on that space. Just like this, and then to the next chain 2 space again, do the same thing until you get to the next corner here, just like we did on the row 2. You are going to be doing exactly what we did here now, putting 3 in chain 2 instead of, and chain 2 instead of the 2 that we normally do. So continue putting in the double V stitches until you get to this corner. Repeat the same thing and continue doing the double V's until you get to the end here. All right, so like I said, this is our last increase row. We are not going to be doing any more increases. All right, so when you finish doing this increase now, you are not going to do any more increase. You're just going to continue putting in your double V all through until you get 6 inches altogether. All right, so already with this one now, I already have 2.5 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead now to keep working on my V's until I get 6 inches in total, and I'll come back to show you how it's looking and how many rows my own 6 inches end up being and what we are going to be doing next. All right, okay, so I'm done with the skirt parts, and I ended up doing exactly 8 inches instead of the 6 inches I told you I'm going for. So I'm comfortable with this one, but this is the time you actually need to try it on to see if you are okay with this size. All right, so that's why I always advise, always use your measurements. All right, so me, I'm going to be stopping mine here. So now we are going to work on the crotch area to divide the places where the leg is going to be on. But before we go into that, we are going to be working on the band area first. All right, so let us get into working on the band. Okay, so to begin on the band, you are going to reattach your yarn here where we usually do our beginning and our ends. You're going to go into the very first stitch right here. Okay, or you can actually reattach your yarn anywhere you like, but me, I just like all the joinings to be in one place. All right, so now you're going to chain up 3, 1, 2 and 3. So this 3 is going to be our first double crochet. It's going to be standing as our first double crochet. So you're going to yarn over. So now on the next stitch, you are going to be going with a front post double crochet, but this time around we are going to be doing some decreases. All right, so instead of taking just 1 to do our front post, we are going to be taking 2, just like this. All right, and now on the next stitch, you are going to be going with a normal double crochet on that stitch, just like this. And on the next 2 stitches, you are going to be picking the 2 to do your front posts. Just watch what I'm doing clearly, all right? Okay, so on the next stitch, you're going to be going with a regular double crochet. And on the next 2 stitches, you're going to be picking it to do your front posts. And on the next stitch, you're going to be doing a regular double crochet. So this is exactly what you are going to be doing for this row. All right, regular double crochet on the next stitch, then pick 2 stitches and make a front post with it, just like this, all around. Okay, so you go ahead now to do this all around, and I'll meet you here where we started from. All right, to show you what we're going to be doing for row 2. Okay. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row. So to end on this row, I only have just 1 stitch left. You know, we usually carry 2 to do our front post, but it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to be taking the very last stitch here, and I'll do a front post, then do a slip stitch on the very chain 3 stitch that we started with. You're going to be going into the 3rd chain, and then you do a slip stitch to end on this row, just like this. All right, so to begin the next row now, you're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and as usual, this chain 3 is going to be serving as our first double crochet. All right, so now you see where you did the front post before, this part here, you are going to be doing a front post right there again. All right, and on the next stitch, you are going to be doing a regular double crochet, just like we did in the previous row. And on the part you did the front post, you are going to be doing a front post. Then on the parts you did the regular double crochet, you are going to be continuing the regular double crochet. So front post on the previous front post, regular double crochet on the previous regular double crochet. So this is exactly what you are going to continue for this row until the very end. All right, so keep alternating the same thing like you did in the row, in the first row. Keep alternating all around, and I'll meet you here when I'm done with mine. All right. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row now. I'm just going to be doing a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch we started with to end on this row. All right, so to begin the next row is just the same thing. You're going to chain up 3, 2, and 3, and this is going to be our first double crochet, and you just continue doing front post where there is front post in the previous row, and regular double crochet where there's regular double crochet in the previous row. So this is what you're going to continue for this row 3, and continue doing this until you get the length of the band that you want. Me, I'm going to be doing just 2 inches. All right, so I'm going off camera to complete my own 2 inches of the band, and I'll come back to tell you how many rows I end up doing and what we're going to be doing next. All right, and if I forget the 8 inches here, I actually did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rows. That is what gave me the 8 inches on the body parts. Okay, so I'll come back to tell you how many I did on my band. All right. Okay, so I'm done with the band, and this is how it's looking. So I ended up putting in 4 more rows, and this is how the finished thing is looking. And these 4 more rows gave me exactly 2 inches I told you I was going for. All right, so this is where I'm ending my, but if you know you want yours bigger, if you know you want a bigger band, you can actually go ahead to continue putting in the rows. All right, so just keep doing exactly what we've been doing on this part. All right, so now the next step is going to be working on the crotch area. All right, so to start on the crotch area, you are going to be turning, you see this back part that we are using to end and begin, you are going to be putting these parts on the side. So this join now is going to be on one of the corners. All right, so it's going to be facing these parts like this. So in order to start the crotch area, what you are going to be doing now, you are going to measure the middle of your shorts, this middle here. So as you can see now, I've gotten my middle already and I've put a stitch marker here. It's very easy to get the middle because it is our double V's. So all I just did is count the double V's and make sure all of the parts, they have exactly the same counts. All right, so from here now, I just marked the 2 corners. Here happened to be one of the corners because, you know, this is where we actually do our beginning and our endings. So from here, I just counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I put a stitch marker. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on the 8th one, I put a stitch marker. So that is what I did around. All right, so you go ahead to actually do your own markings and make sure you put a stitch marker so you do not make a mistake, because we do not want one side to be bigger than the other side. All right, so now that we have our middle all settled up, now we are going to be creating the border to start our crochet area. All right. So now on this first part now, where we have our first stitch marker in the middle, you are going to be reattaching your yarn right there. All right, and now you are going to chain up 20. Okay, for this size that I'm making, I'm going to be chaining up 21 because it's going to be exactly 6 inches, because I measured my thighs and my thighs is 23. For this size that I'm doing is actually 23. So on this part now, I have 8 inches here and I have 8 inches on the other part. So 8 plus 8 is 16. So now the remaining 7 inches is the chain I'm going to be making in the middle here to give us exactly 23 inches on this part. So you go ahead to do your own measurement so you know the amount of chains that you are going to be making here. All right, so my own chain now happens to be exactly 21, and make sure when you are making your chain is in multiples of 5. You remember how we started here, because this stitch requires multiples of 5. Okay, so because it is a multiple of 5, I'm going to be chaining up 21. So I already did 1, and I'm going to be putting a stitch marker here just to be safe. All right, so now I'm going to be making 20 more chains. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So in multiples of 5 plus 1, that means 21. All right, so this is the chain I'm going for my own size. All right, so now you're going to remove your hook from here and turn your work to the other side, because now we are going to be reattaching this border now to these other parts where the stitch marker is in the middle here. All right, so from here now, you are going to fix your hook. Please just watch what I'm doing, okay? You're going to put your hook from the back like this and take the loop from here, just like this, and then you are going to do a slip stitch to join it together. All right, then cut off the yarn. And then tie it just like this. So now we have our border. All right. Okay, so the next step now is going to be working on the first leg. All right, so we are going to be working this round first. Then when we are done with this one, we start on the second one. All right, so to begin this first one now, you are going to be reattaching your yarn on the very middle chain right here. All right, so mine now is 21 chain I made. So I'm just going to count 10 from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the 11th chain, that is where I'm going to reattach my yarn. All right, then you are going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. So now this 3 is going to be serving as our first double crochet as usual. So on that same stitch, you're going to be going in there with 1 more double crochet to create our very first V. And now you are going to chain up 2, And on that same space, you're going to be going in there with 2 more double crochet, which is a V, just like we've been doing. All right, and then yarn over, count 4 stitches, 1 2 3 4, and on the 5th one you are going to be going in there with our first V, 1 and 2, then chain up 2, 1 and 2, and on that same stitch right there you are going to be going with our second V, 1 and 2. So count 4 stitches again, 1 2 3 and 4. So on the 5th stitch that happens to be here, you're going to go in with the first V, 1 and 2, and then you're going to chain up 2 1 and 2, and on this same stitch now, please just watch this part carefully. You're going to be going in there with 1 double crochet. You know we are supposed to do our second V on this stitch now, but we are going to be using it to connect this space right here. All right, so now that we have 1 double crochet, the second double crochet, we are going to be connecting it to this part. Please just watch carefully. All right, so you go into the stitch, all right, and pull out a loop, yarn over and pull out another loop. Okay, so now that you have 2 on your hook, you yarn over and then go into the stitch here where we have the stitch marker where we did the chain from. You are going to go in there, pull out a loop. Now that you have 4 on your hook, yarn over, pull out 2 loops. Now that you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull out all 3 loops. All right, so it's still going to be the same thing, but we are just trying to avoid the space right here. All right, so that's the connection we did here, but we still have 2 stitches because this stitch I just did now is a decrease stitch just to connect this part to this part. All right, so now you are going to yarn over, and as usual you are going to go into the next chain 2 space and then do your first V, just like this, chain up 2, and on that same chain 2 space you go in with your next V, just like we've been doing to create the body of the short. Okay, so that is exactly what you are going to do for the entire round. Now just go around and I'll come back here to show you how we do the connection on this side as well. All right, okay, so I've gotten to where the next stitch marker is now, so I just want to show you how I connect this space now to the chain. All right, so you're going to yarn over. So instead of going into this first chain stitch where I put the stitch marker, you are going to be going into the space here, the chain 2 space where we did the chain from. Then you are going to go in with a double crochet, but you won't finish it. Now that you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull out 2 loops. All right, now that you have 2 on your hook, you are going to yarn over, and now you are going to be going into this stitch where the stitch marker is, that happens to be the first chain stitch, and that is where you are going to be finishing the double crochet like we did in the beginning. Okay, now that you have 4 on your hook, yarn over, pull out 2 loops. Now that you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull out all 3 loops. All right, so on this same stitch now you are going to be going in there with our second double crochet to create the first V. All right, so now you're going to chain up 2 1 and 2, and on that same stitch you're going to be going in there with a V to complete our double V, just like this. All right, so now you're going to count 4 stitches. Okay, this is a little bit tricky because it's a chain stitch. Alrighty, okay, so I hope you can see what I'm doing. So now you count 4 stitches, 1 2 3 and 4. So on the 5th stitch, which is right here, that is where you're going to be going with our next V. Okay, 1 and 2, then chain up 2 and going with another V on that same stitch. 1 and 2. All right, so now we now have 4 stitches left. So when you count it, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are going to be doing a slip stitch to end on this row now. All right, so the chain 3 stitch that you started with, that is where you're going to go in and do a slip stitch to end this row, just like this. All right, so now on the next stitch, you're going to be doing a slip stitch to take us to the next space. So on the space now, the chain 2 space, you're going to be doing a slip stitch, just exactly how we've been doing to create the body of the shorts. All right, so now that we're on the space, you're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and on that same space, you're going to be going in there with 1 double crochet to create our first V, and then you are going to chain up 2, and on that same space, you're just going to go in with our second V. All right, and then yarn over, and then just continue doing exactly what we've been doing all around. So it's just the same thing the way we did the body of the shorts. So just keep going around now with all of your rounds exactly how we did it. So you put your first V, chain up 2, put your second V, just keep doing that all around until you get the length that you want for your shorts. All right, so I'm going to go off camera now to do the length that I want for my short, and I'll come back to tell you how many I end up doing and what we are going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I'm done with the first part of the leg, and this is how it's looking. I ended up putting 5 rows all together on this part. So now the next step is going to be working on the second leg. All right, so to begin the second leg, we are going to be reattaching our yarn on the middle here where we started the first one. So on this very point now, you're going to reattach your yarn on the very stitch where you started the first leg. Then you are going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so as usual, this chain 3 is going to be serving as 1 double crochet for us. So on that same stitch, you are going to be going in there with 1 more double crochet to create our first V, and then you're going to chain up 2, and on that same stitch, you're going to be going in there with another V to create a double V. So it's basically just the same thing. Yarn over, then count 4 stitches, and on the 5th you are going to be going with the first V, 2, and then you're going to chain up 2, and on that same stitch you're going to be going in there with another V. Then the reason why I'm still here showing you this is because I want to show you how we are going to be doing the decrease to avoid that space like we did in the first leg that we created. All right, so yarn over. So this is where it's going to be happening now. You see this stitch now, you're going to go in there with the very first V after you count your 4 stitches as usual. All right, so you go in with 2 double crochets to create the first V, and then you chain up 2, and on that same stitch now you go in with the first double crochet, and then the second double crochet you won't finish it. So this is it. Now that you have 2 on your hook, you yarn over, and then now you go into this chain 2 space where we did the chain from, and then that is where you are going to be completing the double crochet. Now that you have 4, yarn over, pull up 2. Now that you have 3, yarn over, pull up the whole 3. So it's exactly what we did on the first leg, like I've been saying. So all you just need to do now, just continue doing the rounds of your double V's. Continue doing the round. When you get to this part as well, again, you do exactly what I just showed you. You do the decrease here just to avoid that space. All right, so keep doing that all around until you get the length that you want. All right, and like I told you, on this leg I did 5 extra, so I'm going to go off camera now to do the 5 extra right here, and I'll be right back to show you my final results. All right. Okay, so I'm done doing the second leg. So I ended up putting 5 here as well. So our shorts is ready. So the next step now is going to be putting a band on this part, but this one is optional. All right, you can decide to just do a chain just to create the rope that you can use to tie it, or you can decide to put a band, but me, I'm going with the band. So this is the band that I'm using. If you do not know how to put a band on your crochet project, I have the video tutorial for that, so I'm going to be putting the link below so you can actually watch the video to put a band on your own as well. So I'm going off camera to put my band on, and I'll be right back to show you how it's looking and the final results. All right. Okay, so I'm done fixing the elastic band on my shorts, and this is how it's looking. So this elastic band now is what is going to make it snatch on the waist. And like I said, if you do not know how to put an elastic band on your own project, I'm going to be putting the video tutorial I've made before below on the description, so you'll be able to actually watch the video and put your own elastic band if that's what you want, or you can just go with the chain string to just tie it up if that's what you want. All right, so I've given you the basics, you make it your own. All right. So this is how the full thing is looking. So beautiful. All right, with this we've come to the end of today's tutorial. I do hope you enjoy watching this video as much as I did making the video. If you do, make sure to like the video and share it to your friends and your family who wants to make something as beautiful as this. All right, and if you've not subscribed to my channel before now, this is the best time to actually do that, because you don't want to be missing out on all these beautiful tutorials that I post on here. All right. And if you have any questions about this project, feel free to drop it on the comment section and I will be happy to help. All right, so until next time, bye bye.